everyone. Welcome to another Book Review Wednesday. And today I thought it would be interesting to dive in something that's a little bit more general and sort of reflects onto my thoughts as far as these kinds of books are concerned. And as you can see by the title and probably thumbnail, it's college books. I always thought that college books were kind of ridiculous only because they were probably one of the most overly expensive things about going to college. They would really put a dent as far as uh, spending money is concerned, and they usually, at least half of the time, weren't even really predominantly used within the classroom. So it almost seems like, at least from uh, me having my experiences, is that it's really overused, um, and something that's almost unnecessary sometimes in a lot of the classes that you end up taking. Also, what's annoying about these books is that they constantly update them every semester. So it's not like, you can sort of share the same book or give it to somebody else, who might need it, only because a lot of the times they do an updated version, which I find ridiculous. I don't understand why in one semester you suddenly have to change the whole book around. But I think it's basically a money-making thing, and it's always sort of been a money-making thing with a lot of these schools, especially when it comes to the books. Um, and I just find it completely ridiculous, and one that was a little bit um, just over, I guess, used in that, again, every class really required a book, but then at the same time, sometimes the book wasn't even necessarily all that important. Um, and and this is also the thing too, at the least that I got with my particular university, was the fact that we were able to rent books and then bring them back. Um, and that was at least nice to have. So in case uh, you had to, uh, or at least in case if you wanted to spend less money, which is basically how the renting of books worked, you could buy it and then just bring it back once you're done with the semester. And even though it was obviously less in price, it's still one of those things where uh, it just kind of gets annoying to have to spend something that you're only going to use for one semester and then you're not going to use it anymore. I think that definitely the prices of books should not only go down for college, but I almost feel like that they should provide these books as part of sort of the curriculum that we're already getting. Um, I almost feel like it's sort of ridiculous how you're spending already so much for a semester, and then on top of that, you have to go out and buy the books. I almost feel like they should provide the books. Um, and again, I think the universities wouldn't have such a problem with handling uh, books and making them the focus if, again, they made the teachers rely more so on the books, and also at the same time not go and lavishly spend on things like sports and a new stadium and all this kind of ridiculous stuff that has nothing to do with really educating people, which again just kind of annoys me the most, is the fact that everything is predominantly relied on recreational activities and not really on trying to be, solidly educating people. And again, there have been some benefits that I've received from having the books that I had for my classes. And it's not to say all of the books that I received in college were poorly done. Some of them were, unfortunately. Um, you almost go, why is this even a thing? Like, why do we even need this book? And even sometimes the teachers would point out how ridiculous the book was. So it's almost like they didn't even really want to have us even go by the books. So I mean, I almost feel like it's just one of those things where it's just designed to be that extra money-making thing. Um, and I think the constant need to update books is really what brings up the price and really drags everything else down. And again, I think had these books have been a whole lot cheaper, had they been a whole lot more useful, had they focused on trying to make these books sort of more part of the curriculum, then I would have been more on board with having these books as a part of the whole college uh, classes. But when even the teachers are saying that they don't even really want to follow the books, I mean, it just goes to show you that there's really not a huge benefit with a lot of this material that they give you, which again I find ridiculous. And I think at the end of the day, it's just one of those things where you just kind of have to um, figure out exactly how you want to do it, and as far as paying for them. I mean, the way that I always usually paid for was through the school, only because I could rent it, basically give it back. But I think some other people manage to find the books on Amazon sometimes, um, and that's always good because usually you can get those for pretty cheap. But then you're pretty much stuck with the books unless you sort of, or at least can return them in some way, shape, or form. So it's again, it's just kind of annoying, and I think it's just the way in which these schools handle their sort of uh, approach to education that I think is really ultimately what um, makes it a little bit more uh, difficult to really take the material that they're trying to bring forth seriously. Um, but those are really my honest thoughts about these books. I mean, they really don't end up helping too much. And I think that has, again, a lot to do with the fact that the teachers didn't really want to use them some of the time, and the fact that they're so ridiculously expensive, and you only use it for a semester and then it's pretty much done and you don't really need the material anymore. And it's just one of those things where it's it's just a little ridiculous. It's just a little bit overblown, I think. And again, you know, at the end of the day, it's just another thing for the schools to make money off of, and not necessarily a thing of providing genuine uh, education and really helping people out. So, and at least learned some things. But again, it's not to say that my whole college experience I didn't learn anything. I mean, I think I learned a good portion of things. It's just sometimes, the books sort of got in the way of that, only because they weren't really that hugely emphasized. And even if they were, some of them were like either ridiculously long or, just kind of pointless to have. Uh, But that's just my honest thoughts. I'd be more than happy to hear what anybody else has to say as far as their experiences with college books and how they've really handled the whole process with them, because, you have to go out and buy them early, and, again, the whole updating of editions and whatnot, I think is just ridiculous. And I almost think that they should provide books for free. I mean, that's just a joke that they make you pay for books, um, especially when they come up with new editions constantly. Um, but yeah, those are just my honest thoughts, though. If there are any questions, comments, concerns, I'd be more than happy to answer them. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have a pleasant day, week, month, and year, and I hope to see you all in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.